Do you secretly believe that dodging arguments is the secret to keeping the peace? You might even pat yourself on the back for being the easygoing one, the person who never, ever rocks the boat. But what if that constant, exhausting effort to maintain harmony is actually a lie? What if that so-called peace is a slow-acting poison, quietly sickening your relationships and your own mental health? You know the feeling, don't you? That knot in your stomach when every part of you wants to scream, no, but you hear yourself saying yes instead. The bitter aftertaste of resentment when you swallow your feelings one more time just to sidestep a disagreement. This isn't peace. It's a prison you've built for yourself. So today, we're pulling back the curtain to expose the deep-seated psychological reasons you fear confrontation. Reasons that probably started in childhood, long before you even knew what was happening. And more importantly, we'll show you how to break free from this cycle of anxiety and resentment, not by becoming aggressive, but by finally becoming your authentic self. 1. The illusion of peace. For many of us, conflict avoidance isn't a conscious choice. It's a deeply ingrained survival instinct. It's a behavioral reflex where you instinctively try to evade, suppress, or just plain run away from any situation that might lead to a disagreement. Most of the time, this shows up as people-pleasing. Maybe it's agreeing to watch a movie you have zero interest in with your partner, just to avoid a tiny debate. Or maybe it's staying dead silent in a work meeting when your boss throws out an idea you know is destined to fail. You tell yourself it's no big deal, that it's just better to be seen as the nice or agreeable one. So you change the subject, clam up, or just grit your teeth through uncomfortable moments rather than saying what you're really thinking. This reflex is driven by a powerful, often subconscious belief that conflict is fundamentally destructive. You automatically expect a negative outcome, like being judged or misunderstood, so you sidestep the whole conversation. The immediate wave of relief you feel from dodging that awkwardness is incredibly reinforcing. Phew, you kept the peace, you tell yourself. But the issue hasn't vanished. It's just gone underground. And that's where the real damage starts. The problem is, when you consistently avoid conflict, you send a powerful message to your deepest self that your feelings don't matter and that you are not worth standing up for. 2. The ghost in the nursery, uncovering the childhood roots. To get why the mere thought of an argument fills you with dread, we have to go back in time. For most chronic conflict avoiders, this pattern was learned when they were most vulnerable. We learn our conflict style from what we see and experience in our childhood homes. Many people who avoid conflict grew up in homes that were emotionally volatile or hypercritical. If you had a parent who was quick to anger, overly strict, or just emotionally unpredictable, you learned fast that expressing your own feelings was dangerous. Disagreeing, having a different opinion, or even just looking upset could lead to yelling, punishment, or the terrifying withdrawal of love. As a kid, you did what you had to do to survive. You became a ghost. You learned to smile when you were hurting, to suppress your own needs, and to become an expert at reading the emotional temperature of a room just to keep yourself safe. This isn't just a bad memory, it's a deep psychological imprint. Research shows that these kinds of early experiences are a powerful predictor of conflict avoidance in adulthood. They can create something psychologists call rejection sensitivity, a constant, anxious expectation of being rejected. Because you learned that speaking up led to pain or abandonment, your brain is now wired to see potential rejection everywhere. You might interpret a neutral comment as criticism or see a minor disagreement as a catastrophic threat. This makes you want to avoid these interactions just to protect yourself from what feels like certain harm. You weren't just taught that conflict was bad. You were never taught how to navigate it well. Emotionally healthy families show kids that disagreements are a normal part of life that can lead to solutions. But if your family swept emotions under the rug, you never got the chance to learn or practice those skills. So now, as an adult, you're facing every disagreement not just without the right tools, but with a deep-seated terror that it will only lead to pain. 3. The poison of silence, the true cost of avoidance. You think you're preserving your relationships by staying quiet, but you might be slowly poisoning them. Every time you swallow your true feelings, a little bit of resentment gets left behind. At first, it's manageable, but over time, these unspoken needs and unresolved issues build up like a toxic sludge in the foundation of your connection. This is why conflict avoidance doesn't create intimacy, it creates emotional distance. You can't feel truly close to someone who doesn't know the real you, and they can't possibly meet your needs if they have no idea what they are. This constant self-suppression is also a huge burden on your mental health. Leaving issues unresolved leads to pent-up frustration and a profound sense of loneliness that can curdle into anxiety and depression. It can also lead to sudden, out-of-place emotional outbursts or passive-aggressive behavior. It's the internal pressure cooker effect. The feelings you keep shoving down will eventually find a way to explode. And the consequences aren't just emotional. Studies have found that bottling up emotions, especially negative ones, can have serious physical health consequences. The chronic stress you think you're avoiding is just being internalized, where it can weaken your immune system and contribute to issues like high blood pressure, digestive problems, and an increased risk for a range of chronic illnesses. Your body really does keep the score. If any of this is hitting a little too close to home, and you're tired of living with that knot in your stomach, take a second to subscribe to our channel. We're all about exploring the psychology behind why we do what we do, so we can build healthier, more authentic lives together. 4. Rewriting the rules of engagement. So if avoidance is so destructive, what's the alternative? The answer isn't to become an aggressive person who picks fights. The goal is to become an assertive person who can engage in healthy conflict. First, you have to completely reframe what confrontation even means. We've been conditioned to see it as a battle to be won or a sign that a relationship is failing. But that's a fiction we learned in childhood. Healthy conflict isn't a fight, it's a conversation. Think of it as the immune system of a relationship, a necessary process to address issues before they become toxic. It's one of the deepest forms of respect you can show someone else and yourself. It says, I value our connection enough to be honest, and I respect myself enough to voice my needs. This shift won't happen overnight. It's a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. You're unlearning decades of emotional programming. So, let's break the path forward into a few actionable steps. 5. The path to authentic connection. 3 steps to break the cycle. Step 1. Start small to build your confrontation muscle. You wouldn't try to bench press 300 pounds on your first day at the gym, right? Same idea here. Don't start by trying to tackle the biggest, most emotionally explosive issue in your life. Start with low-stakes situations to build your confidence. Pick a safe person to practice with, like a trusted friend. The next time they suggest a restaurant you're not a fan of, instead of just saying, sure, sounds good, try a gentle pushback. You know, I'm not really feeling that tonight. How about we do Italian instead? When a coworker asks you to take on another task when you're already swamped, instead of automatically saying yes, practice saying, I can't take that on right now, but I could definitely help out later this week. Each time you do this and the world doesn't implode, you are literally rewriting the code in your brain. You are teaching your nervous system that it is safe to have an opinion and that it is safe to say no. Step 2. Rehearse and plan what you want to say. A lot of confrontation anxiety comes from the fear of the unknown, of fumbling your words or getting steamrolled by your own emotions. You can slash that anxiety by preparing ahead of time. Write down exactly what the issue is, how you feel about it, and what you'd like the outcome to be. Focus on getting clear on your own feelings before you even start the conversation. This isn't about scripting the whole dialogue, but about giving yourself a calm, clear foundation to speak from. You can even rehearse your main points out loud. It might feel silly, but it helps move the thoughts from the anxious, spinning part of your brain to the logical, speaking part. Step 3. Master the I statement. This is probably the single most powerful tool for turning a destructive argument into a constructive conversation. Aggressive language often starts with you, which immediately makes the other person defensive. You always. You never. Assertive communication, on the other hand, uses I statements, which focus on your experience, not on attacking the other person. The formula is beautifully simple. I feel, your emotion, when their behavior, because the impact on you. I would really appreciate it if, your request. So, instead of, you're so rude for showing up late all the time, try this. I feel hurt and a little disrespected when you arrive late, because it makes me feel like my time isn't valuable. I would really appreciate it if you could just shoot me a text if you're running behind. This approach is non-negotiable in its honesty. It's how you feel, but it's collaborative in its intention. It invites the other person to understand your perspective instead of defending their character. It's not about winning. It's about being understood. The fear of confrontation that has shadowed your life isn't some personal failing. It's a protective shield you built a long, long time ago to survive. But that shield has now become a cage, limiting your relationships and dimming your own sense of self. Breaking free doesn't mean becoming someone you're not. It means finally, bravely, allowing your true self to emerge. By starting small, reframing conflict as a tool for connection, and learning to communicate with assertive honesty, you start a journey of profound transformation. You'll begin to build relationships based not on the fragile illusion of peace, but on the resilient foundation of real trust and authenticity. You will find that the voice you were so afraid to use is the very thing that will set you free. It might be uncomfortable at first, but on the other side of that discomfort isn't the rejection you fear, but the deep, fulfilling connections you truly deserve. What's one small step you can take this week to practice healthy confrontation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Reading each other's experiences is one of the most powerful ways we can all learn and grow together. And for more deep dives into the psychology that shapes our lives, be sure to watch our next video on the psychology of emotional numbness. Thanks for watching.